Good afternoon. Welcome to another discussion of the Journey with the Shaman. Today is February 10th, 2023. Hearing a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's true, so I'm not going to get into that. I've been talking in a series here about how the Great Awakening is beyond not just the political, the economic, the sex trafficking, and the harvesting. It's all there, as far as I'm concerned. Do your own research. This is what I found. But I also, like I said, I've been talking that part of this awakening that's kind of getting missed is reincarnation. Another thing that's getting missed is that we were not born into original sin. I'm going to repeat that. Nowhere in Scripture does those two words show up together anywhere. That was a human construct to justify why we sin and why we have sin in our world. It makes sense, but it's also not true. Otherwise known as fake media, follow the hype. I mean, why would God, a divine being of love, a divine creator of everything, make us come into existence with original sin in our souls? Now I know what the script, and I know what the doctrine, and that's the word. It's doctrine. Scripture doesn't teach this. It's doctrine, which means it's a man-made construct. Okay, and that he says, "Oh, we have sin. We were born with original sin because of the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden." That makes sense. It's BS, but it makes sense. I I don't know if it was written originally that way or intentionally to deceive. Kind of the way things are coming out today, I kind of lean towards the deception part. But again, do your own research. That's an opinion, and that's nothing that I can pinpoint on. Um, but we were born divine. We just have to believe that we are. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying we're equal to God, but we weren't born with original sin either. That was something that we put on it. Sin doesn't exist. What sin is, according to Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas, do your own research. Jesus said that sin is a human evolution. What we consider to be sin is sin. God never defines it. I mean, he does. He just, sin is just disobeying him, not loving him. And that's all you got to do. Love God above all else. And that includes yourself, and especially yourself. Um, some of my talks also, I've kind of hinted that we need to, but because of the birth certificate situation, and that, that's a form, it's a document of slavery. Okay, do your research. But that's kind of what the gist of it is. And so, again, that was put on us. I mean, we are much more than this. I can tell you, I don't doubt that. We just have to believe it now. And that's the only thing that's keeping it from not from happening. We just need more people to believe. First of all, reincarnation exists. It is a true form of our existence and our reality. It is what we are. We're not this flesh and, as it was at Star Trek episode. We are not mostly bags of water. We're a divine soul. We come directly from God, and that's our essence. And we can transcend time, space. Doesn't matter. We can reincarnate in different centuries, with different planets, different dimensions, and some of the stuff I'm reading. Again, do your research, find out for yourself, find out the truth that works for you. This is just, I'm relaying what the information is. Um, and so, kind of remember that you were not born with original sin. That's an excuse to stay sinful. Think about it. But we're born with sin in our world anyway, so who cares? It's just all words. Doesn't mean nothing. That God thing. You guys crazy. You know, I know God exists. I've got, and I share the stories in my life. Some of these older videos, that's what I was doing. I was just sharing where God has shown himself to me and how I recognized it. Now, at the time, I admit I did not recognize it. I thought it was such a problem. But afterwards, towards the end, and this is the way God works, that's when you realize that you fulfilled the purpose. I was having a discussion last night, uh, ministering. Somebody was having a problem with their spouse, and it's creating a friction in this relationship, big time friction. One's One is actually baiting the one that is not awake, is baiting the one who is, and then challenges whatever they say, just to get a rise out of them. And that person who's awake um, fights back, defends her point of view. Okay, could do that. But if we're wanted to look at our lives a little different, love is everything. And this is what I told her, or told this person. It's out of the bag. But this is what I told this person is, treat it with love. Don't fight back. I don't mean be submissive. Just be like a wall of water. Instead of let him throw whatever he wants at you, you just stand there and they say, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's your opinion. I appreciate that. Thank you." But don't give him anything back. Don't give him anything that's going to feed the argument. If you have to, just say, "Oh, that's nice," and then just turn around and walk away. Again, don't engage. Um, it's important that you keep your own peace instead of arguing the point and being right. How about that? That's not important. Because when you're dealing with a bully, and that's what this situation was, and I'm sharing it because I know that's not the only one like this. Um, but my experiences with bullies is you just, whatever you say, you don't give them anything to fight back on. And then they just stop. They just give up. Oh, you're fat and ugly. Yeah, okay, thank you. No reaction. That's negative. Oh, your mom dresses you funny. Oh, I think so too. Thank you. Whatever it is, don't feed the argument. Just let them argue with you. Let them say whatever they want. After a while, though, and this is my experience, like I said, I used to be a private detective, so dealing with people negatively is something I had to do. I mean, I had to confront people on not safe conditions in some of these situations. Um, you stop a shoplifter for stealing something, and they pull a knife on you. What do you do? So you use your, whatever. But that's my advice was just be love. Don't fight back. Eventually, they'll just give up. But also, I think what will happen, it depends on the individual, but I've seen it happen more than not, is we start realizing how petty they were. And then maybe they'll be a little bit more open about understanding what you're talking about because you're being the example of Christ. I mean, you think about when Jesus was doing his traveling, nothing was, no real consequences were happening yet, negative consequences. because I think that he dealt with those situations with love and understanding. Yeah, that's yeah, okay, I understand that. That's good. Um, at the end, though, like this with this person, I said, yeah, I know you really. It's important to have your point, reinforced. That's why you challenge back. But if you just work with it the way I did, your point doesn't diminish. You didn't strengthen it, but you also didn't diminish it or weaken it. So let that stand. Be more at peace. You know, Fighting back and creating the conflict could get to a point where they can't even live together anymore because of the friction. There's children involved, young children, so that's not going to help the matter. It just builds more and more tension. And you could hold your gun, but you know what? That just keeps building more and more negative tension. And if we can keep it with more of a love, just say, yeah, okay, whatever you want, and then just walk away. Don't give them anything to fight with. Yeah, okay, yeah. If you, oh, I'm glad. That's why you see it. That's good. Good. You're thinking about it. Keep going. You know, don't fight. Um, and then like if we work with reincarnation, think about how your life would be different if you could make that leap in your mind that without a doubt you know it because you got the memories. Let's say, how would your life be different? What would you do different, knowing that when you're done with this life, you have another life coming, and that you prepared it for yourself or for those around you. It's mostly for those around you because that's what you want to do it for. If you do it for yourself, that's your ego. You get involved with your ego, you might have that one life that's decent, but then there's karma. I don't know how that's going to continue on into the next evolution of us, but something to consider. But you could set the things up for the world around you, and in essence, because everything around you is loving and compassionate, you'll feel that and make that grow even more and prepare it for the next recycling and the next reincarnation and the next to divineness. I mean, this is what God wants us to be. This is why He created us. He didn't make a mistake when He created you guys. He didn't. I mean, if we're born into original sin, then you're saying that, well, God isn't as omnipotent as we think because He lets us be born into sin. How wrong is that? And then we have to live our entire lives trying to overcome our nature to be divine enough to be called before God. Forget the fact that, you know, we're loved by God, but being judged favorably. That's not what it is either. You just don't live here and die and you hope for the best. This is a stretch, but if you think about it, what would I do different when I leave here? How would I create the world in my next reincarnation? I definitely would have it. I definitely have different things around me differently. I don't mean wealthy, but just different, more compassionate, more loving, more in tune with nature, more in tune with Gaia. If it's my time to come back at the anyways, or if this is where I come back to, even some of the consensus out there is that we can travel dimensions and planets, be different. We can be alien species, live in a different planet altogether, in a different time, even forward and backwards. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. All that stuff is human construct. It's all linear. You know, one has to follow the next at the next. That's linear thinking, and that's what we have to try to focus away from. That's the, I guess, maybe you want to say it this way. That's the real awakening. You're, we're not linear beings. We're vertical. Nobody rules us. We're in charge of us. Our reality is what we make it to be, not what somebody else makes it for us, what we make it, or what we allow. Is it Adam Savage says in one of his commercials, I reject your reality and I replace it with mine. Isn't that what we're doing? That's what this is. We are replacing the reality. We're replacing the reality that was lied to us. We were replacing somebody else's reality for our own. And the original sin was us breaking away from that. And that's the lie. We need to be more in tune with our love relationship with God and with each other. And I've talked about the God within several times. The God's DNA, actual physical DNA is within our bodies, and we're in touch with it. And as this awakening, as we keep evolving in this awakening, this revolution, if you want to call it that, or evolution, we're becoming more aware. I mean, how many of you even leave a note? Tell me, how many of you are aware of things you never thought you knew before? You just know stuff. Things make sense that just didn't make sense before. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment of anything like that. Um, I'm going through a lot of self-evaluation right now, big time. I've always been very retrospective about myself, anyways. But I'm evaluating what I've done. Who am I becoming? What am I really? The shaman of the divine light. I have no doubt that that's my entity now. Just leave it at that. And it's not because I feel like I'm a grandiose person in any way. Far from it. I'm not here for the accolades. If I did, I was using my name. I use it because it's who I am. I don't know what else to say. When I first started talking about this myself, I didn't believe it. I was kind of, it sounds good, but it wouldn't go away. And then people started calling me this on their own. The shaman, not of the divine light, just shaman. It was long before that. But I think at the time I didn't acknowledge because I thought they were taking my name and cramming it together and making fun of me. That's when I was really young. Kids used to do that. Like I said, I'm going through a lot of retrospect right now, a lot of going back in my memories and seeing where God has touched me in a profound way. Some of the stuff at the time I didn't see it, but man, I look back now and I see the path and I go, okay, that's definitely God's hand. That's definitely God's hand. That's definitely, that's going to show a picture. I don't have it here with me. I don't want to stop it. I got this really cool hat. In fact, you see it in the picture. My picture, I got that green. In one of my videos, I had that green fedora. I've had that hat over 40 years. I got it in Chicago. I'm in my 20s. I'm from middle northern Wisconsin. Okay? And forgive me here, but culturally speaking, we were white Anglo-Saxons, period. That's just what it is. Heavy Dutch, heavy German, heavy Belgian population. That's Wisconsin in its nutshell. There's more, but especially going back into the 60s and 70s and earlier, people of color were very, very rare. In fact, I don't even remember seeing my first colored family until my late teens. That would have made it, I think, around 15, 16 years old. Just nothing. And anyways, to continue with my little story, I went down to Chicago and I was with my my wife and my sister-in-law and her husband at that time, and she wanted to go into this little boutique, a hat boutique. So I went in there with her, and forgive me, but this is my first experience at 22, 23 years old with a very openly flamboyant gay man. I mean, his arms are flying and lisping, and it was a trip. It was a wonderful experience, and I have to admit, I got to know the guy. His name is Sam, and we had fun. I mean, we didn't have, but it was just interesting. I came across somebody like this, and I've never experienced it before. And this guy was like over the top, absolutely wonderfully over the top. Not my place to judge him. That's would have been a sin, because then I'd have to judge myself. I mean, if this is what makes him happy, I'm okay with it. Just don't, as long as you don't say I have to be happy for you, or I gotta be like you too and be happy. I'm gonna. But it's that's part of what we need. That's the love that we need to express back. It's just say, okay, it's okay. A lot of people are struggling right now. Some families, because different people are in different parts of the same of a path. Some are at this level and some are at this level. And this one wants this one to come up and this one wants this one to come down. It isn't going to happen that way. I mean, it'd be nice, but we need to kind of tone it down, be more in tune with ourselves, stop fighting each other. Your point is your point is your point. You don't need to defend it, because the truth is always the truth. A lot of this awakening information that's coming out. I mean, how many times can you tell somebody something? They're trying to trigger a reaction. And so I thought of my disciples. I tell them, stop watching the news. Stop watching the awakening. Well, I gotta know. No, you don't. Are you going to be any more informed? Are you going to be any more awakened to truth than you are now? Are you going to be able to change anything in the world if you find out that, I don't know, somebody did something and that was, you aren't going to have, unless you're directly impacted by it, it's out of your realm of influence. So stop it. All you're doing is creating more negative energy, because you're creating stress and anxiety. Then you start fighting with your family, because that stress and anxiety that's building up in you builds up in them also. Even though they're not reading the information, you're triggering it. You're fueling it just by your energy. And then when you start, listen, then I don't want to hear about it. Well, then what's happening in a relationship is the one that's at the lower end of the spectrum, one at the higher end of the spectrum. This one wants to raise this one higher, but it doesn't want to, so this one down here wants to take this one and bring it lower. It ain't gonna happen. There's not gonna be a merger. Again, just keep it light, keep it love. Stop talking about the awakening. It will happen. Everybody will wake up at their own pace. We're all on our own paths. I'm not saying my path is right for everybody. My path is right for me, I think, because I'm just winging it, but I'm doing what I think feels right. And I insist you guys try to do the same. Stop worrying about what everybody else is going to do. Stop worrying about when the economy is going to change or the election is going to change. Or it's really unimportant, because the real awakening is our relationship with God. What are we really? What is that really what it is? And if we can pay attention that, first of all, we were not born into original sin. That was a human construct, and in my opinion, it was to control us. So stop using that excuse. I mean, I can't help myself. born into original sin, I'll die in original sin. So until then, I might as well just party off, you know? Good. But don't take me with you. We're going to leave this message like it is. It's not, well, it's only 25 minutes. I'm trying to reach short on this. I'm going to be doing a live on the 11th, February 11th at 11:15. Hope to see you all there. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Read the description, read the description of what I am and what I'm about. And I wish you all happy evening. God bless you all. And I always love you. You're all marvelous people. And like, subscribe, peace. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.